Yo, we talking about groceries on FBA. Yo, easy. Yeah. J to the O, the Mayos. Groceries on FBA. What you know about that? Step your game up, suck it.
Let's do this.
We're still rolling in, but yeah, we got like a little more than half, so.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're joined here by Nate McCallister today, and we're going to talk about VA training and his book, which is in the chat right now. And I believe you have a course coming out based on the book as well.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Thanks for letting me on, John, to talk about it. Basically, when I started selling on Amazon, I was in school. I was getting my degree, and I was still working full time. So I was having a hard time sourcing products, right? And I had a business partner who helped me source, and then we're paying somebody in Atlanta to source for us, and we were paying him to source retail for us. But we started to realize that we needed even more. We needed to start bringing in more leads because we just weren't spending the money that we had. So we went on to Upwork. Back then it was Odesk, and we hired a VA, and at first it was horrible. It was like the guy was not good. He was like really, really nice guy, and his name was Daniel. He had this like really like dorky haircut, and he was like the nicest guy in the world, and but he just wasn't very good at first. So we kind of stuck with it, and we started like systematizing the process, right? And really breaking it down for him and explaining it in a way that made it more logical and more of a process as opposed to just cutting him loose.
Right. You can't do that.
No, you can't. I mean, if you do it, if you hire somebody like, and you want to pay them $10 to $15 an hour, somebody you meet online, yeah, you can. You should. If you're paying that much, you can. But if you want to go overseas and hire somebody who doesn't have experience, you can't cut them loose like that. You can eventually if you want, but so that's what we did with him. We gave him a very set process to follow, right? And he would find us the leads, and he was finding the leads while I was at school or while I was at work, and I'd come home and we'd buy them. So you still have to go through them, right? So it's not a completely hands-off thing. You still have to check the leads because just like when you buy a list, right? You don't buy every single product on the list because sometimes they don't fit your buying criteria, or by the time you see them, they might not be around anymore, or they're going to oversaturate, stuff like that. So I would do that. I'd buy from his leads, and it started to get to the point where we started making money with it, and then we expanded. We brought on more VAs, and we started in February or March. We started our first VA sourcing group. It was called the Virtual Assistant Collective, and that was with myself and Josh Cruz, who he passed away earlier this month, which was kind of sad. But he and I hired a VA from the Philippines, and she did a really good job sourcing for. It was 10 people, right? So there was a bit of saturation. There was a lot of stuff that we had to work through, but it started to get to the point where there was so many little hiccups and mistakes along the way that I knew I'd eventually would write a course on it, just because there's a lot of stuff that took up a lot of my time that I knew I could save other people from spending time on as well. So that's where the course idea came from. And I know that it works, but I also know that it can easily not work, and you can easily end up wasting a lot of time and money. And some people just aren't cut out for it. That's no knock on them. Some people just aren't really fit to hire a VA overseas and have the patience to train them and have the managerial skills to direct them and follow up. So the course actually covers that, right? The first part of the course is making sure that if you actually need a VA or if you can actually benefit from one, because not everybody can. And my goal with the course is to actually, it's a brand new course, right? So if I make it and nobody ends up with a good VA after they take the whole course, I'm not going to be having the course for very long. So my goal is to make sure that the people that take the course actually get a VA, and that it actually ends up being a VA that makes them money, right? So the first section of the course, I kind of go through some aspects of it where I want to explain if somebody should even have one, and if they decide after that they don't, I've got some resources for them, but they can return their money at that point for the course. And I've got a no questions asked refund policy, as I do with all of my products and services. But I don't want anyone to get started on it until they make sure that it's for them. So that's the first part of the course. The next part, we actually go through the different methods of sourcing. Even if a VA, you want to get a VA, we go through some other options like sharing a VA, joining a sourcing group, different things like that, just so that people know all of their options and they are given all of the information that they need to make the best decision as far as who they hire, how many people they hire, and so on and so forth. After that, we actually go into the hiring process, finding a VA, hiring somebody who has experience versus hiring somebody that doesn't have experience. And actually, I have some opinions on that. They're a little bit different than other people. I really don't like to hire. I do, but I have. But now, I don't like to hire VAs with past experience, because usually the past experience is it's usually so minimal that it's not a big deal for me, that they know the little things that they do. Sometimes they have bad habits or whatever. But the big thing is that they're going to be tempted to share leads. And I've had that happen now 3 different times, where I had a VA that I was paying 40 hours a week, and I totally understand that they want to make money and everything, right? But the biggest rule I have with my VAs is that if you work for me, you got to work for me. I'll give you as many hours as you can get and as you need, but I can't have you give the leads that I'm paying you to get to somebody else. So that's one of the things that,
I mean, we do the same thing. We don't hire anybody for, sourcing or any kind of Amazon administration type stuff.
Right.
And let's say, I mean, we did get one from you, and then we got one that was a friend of hers that needed a job. They're doing good, but I mean, they were like up and rolling, and I literally didn't tell them to do anything but go source, and here's a spreadsheet to put the stuff in. And we've really never said anything else to them except maybe we don't want to source at a certain store like Luli that they all like to use. That has like sales that they give us for they expire in 48 hours.
Right. But, and we go through. I've recommended to people too, and I know you've probably done it more than I have. When you have a good VA, the best way to get another good VA is to ask them to refer one.
Right.
Like my best VAs usually have friends that or family members. Usually it's family who will be just as good as them, because that person's going to kind of be accountable for them, and they wouldn't send somebody that stinks most of the time. So I've actually found a lot of I make one good hire, or 1 or 2, and then from there I can usually get enough referrals from their inside circle, from their family or for their friends, if it's somebody that I really trust, right? And they end up actually saving me a lot of time and effort, as I don't have to create another Upwork listing. I just create the job and hire them. But throughout the course, I'm not just talking about what everything is. I mean, if you want to, a lot of the content from the course is in the free ebook. So I really want anyone to, whether they get the course or not, to please read the book and let me know what you think about it. But I do expand on a lot of things, and I do share some things in the ebook, in the course, that are not in the ebook. And I definitely break it down into a much more, I make it on video, right? So a lot of it's a lot more clear, and I also break it down for your VA. So I'll show you the different processes and tools that your VA needs to use, and I also have ways to make it super quick for them to get set up and going, so you spend less time, in the beginning. And that alone pays off the cost of the course. I think it gives you a head start of at least a week over doing it on your own and explaining to them what everything is. And the methods that I've had have worked, and I know that they work. I can't, as far as VAs go, some are going to be better than others. And, we all have to, cut ties with VAs quite a bit. Anyone that's hired more than one knows that. But this process will make it so you won't have that type of turnover. You will have turnover if you hire more than one, but you won't have it on the same level as if you were doing it totally on your own. So that's part of the goal of the course. I give a basic spreadsheet that is not a big deal, but it does have all the instructions for how to share it with your VA, how to get them to be able to update it live. Stuff that if you've done it, it may seem more simple, but if you've never done it, and it's really good information. That's part of what led me to make the course, as well as there was a lot of people I spoke to who it wasn't just little things that they didn't know. They didn't feel comfortable getting started. So they were paying, to be part of groups or whatnot, but they hadn't hired their own VA, even though they wanted to, because they didn't really know the steps to take. They didn't know how to find someone on Upwork and what they were looking for in a hire. They didn't know what to tell them to look for, what stores to tell them to look for, how to judge if they were doing a good job or not. So that's what this course does, is it helps you along the way. And my goal is that by the time you complete the course and follow the steps and share all the information with your VA, you should be ready to go and almost hands off. There's processes that we all have to go through. When we hire a VA, you have to follow up with them and make sure that they're staying on task and still performing the way you need them to. And you need to let them know if your buying criteria changes or if you need them to start sourcing in certain areas more than others. But the course really breaks down all of that. And it's just, I consider myself to be a teacher, and I feel like I can articulate things pretty well as far as this topic goes. So I'm really excited about the course. It will be launching to the public on April 16th, but I want to do, I'm starting with a small beta trial, not trial, I guess. I want people who will come in for half price of the full course, and I want them to be my feedback. I want them to take the course. They'll have access to everything, but I want their input because I'm going to get it anyway, right? So I'd rather have people who want to help me make sure the course is what I want it to be, and also benefit from a little bit of a discount right off the bat. And I'm going to, guinea pig. I'm only going to do, I think I've decided we're going to do 25, and the course itself is going to be $199. But I want to do 25 members at $99. So if you are interested in that, I'll share a link after, and you'll have access to that as soon as Monday. And the course will be drip fed. So you'll get first access, and you'll have lifetime access to all updates, all downloads, everything that comes with the course you'll get as well. But I only want people who are willing to give me honest feedback about the course, about what they think about it, about the presentation, if it's too much, if it's too little, if I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow. I want people to really let me know, because Sean, when you make a product, you hear about it one way or another, right?
Right.
So it's like you might as well hear it from people who got a discount, you know what I mean, and want to. And actually, I've also found that when I'm part of a startup, like I was on Michael Hyatt's launch team for his most recent book, Living Forward, and that's kind of what intrigued me and turned me on to this idea of kind of a little launch group. Was everybody kind of got together and gave feedback on the book and what they liked, what they didn't like, and then by the end of it, everybody that was part of it really felt like they were part of it. And I want the first few people who helped me with this to really feel like they're part of it, and I appreciate anybody that wants to do that. And it's still $99, but that's going to be $100 off, and it's going to come with access to any premium features that come in the future and that are existing now. So if you're interested, I'll give Sean a link here after the show. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I do. Now, is this course just going to cover hiring people for product sourcing? I mean, of course, it'll cover hiring people just to know how to hire people, but after that, what are you training them to do? Just to source product, or are there other parts of it?
Well, the hiring practices could be used. You could implement those for really any job. I do provide a job script for hiring someone for OA, And that's just something that I want to kind of just speed up the process so people don't overthink that part. But basically, the course is focused on OA. I do mention that you can also use a VA you can be creative and you can maybe have a VA search keywords for you, or have a VA search for product leads on Alibaba. You'd have to, that's something that I think is a higher level task that the main seller should be doing as far as private label product finds and stuff. But you can have them do customer service type stuff, whatever you want them to do, that's up to you. But this course is focused on OA, and it lays out everything that you need to get a VA up to speed. And even if you're an experienced Amazon seller, which really, I recommend you should be an experienced seller if you're ready to hire a VA. You need to know at least enough to be able to tell them that they're doing a good or a bad job. So even if you are an experienced Amazon seller, this course will make the training process easier because it's broken down into a way that's more digestible and easy to understand for the VA. You'd be surprised. Some people just don't really have a teacher's mindset, and I'm a victim of this myself sometimes, where you kind of overcomplicate things without knowing because you're assuming that somebody knows something. But VAs in the Philippines or Thailand or Bangladesh, they have no reason to know a lot of the stuff you already know, especially if you're hiring them with no prior experience. So yeah, basically, I guess I kind of want to talk about, to answer your question, yeah, it's for OA, but the VAs you hire, you can also use them for other things. I don't teach how to use them for other stuff. I focus on how to get them sourcing with OA X-ray. I show you how to get them sourcing with any other traditional OA models, setting price alerts, using all the Chrome extensions. I actually have a tool in there that makes the extensions much easier to set up, and I explain each one of them that I think the VAs need to use. I show how they should enter the data into the spreadsheet, how they share the data, stuff like that. So I really break it down and take a lot of guesswork out for you. And that was my goal with it. Is as an entrepreneur, I've always found that if there's a way that you can save other people time, there's profit there, and there's value in it. So I think that anyone who takes this program, uses this program with their VA, is going to find that it's going to pay itself off within a week in time saved, just in getting the VA going, and the headaches and stuff that you're going to avoid is going to be, you'll be shocked. Is this going to be done through videos versus reading? Yeah, it's going to be videos. The ebook is, I want the ebook to be free. I want everybody to have that, just because it's a topic I like, and I think it's been downloaded like 570 times now, so which is pretty cool. It came out last week, and it's not on Kindle or anything yet. So I want everybody to read that. But the course itself is videos, and there's slides, and the real meat and potatoes of it, I think, is the downloadable resources and the tutorials on how to use them, and the tutorials that you will give to your VA showing them how to use the sourcing tools. So it's going to save you the time and hassle of trying to articulate that yourself. Yeah, so you have to listen to my voice for a while, which is kind of painful for some people, I know, but it is much more clear than just reading the book. And I do have slides and stuff on there that make it a little bit easier to follow along. And I do expand on some stuff that is in the book that I went more with an abbreviated version in the book. The book's only like 30 some pages, right? I'm not sure. So it's the course right now has got about 3.5 hours of content. And that's as far as the learning side goes for you. And then the VA course has additional stuff for them. Yeah, I don't try to have like a one size fits all approach either. I go through all the different options, even if they're things that I don't use myself. I'll let you know that, but I share them anyway, just because I know that not everybody works the way that I work. So I want to make sure that, if you're buying this course, everything that I know about VAs, which I learned through the process of hiring them, and you learn a lot when you have your money on the line. So when we were hiring VAs to source products for us to sell on Amazon, that was one thing, and then we started We had our Amazon sourcing groups. It was, $147 a month, 25 members. You really need to make sure you know what they're doing and that they're doing a good job. There's a lot of pressure there. That was one of my first membership groups like that. So that really got me to the point where I was really learning a lot just from the pressure of keeping the group going. And all that stuff I share in the course. So it's not a topic that anyone really has much. Most people have no business really knowing about it unless they've done it, and it's very much a niche thing. I also show you how to sell leads on Gumroad if you're interested in doing that. I know a lot of people have been doing well, and I know Sean does really well on Gumroad. I started that Gumroad list pushers group that's been really popular. So I show really quickly in one of my lessons is how, if you want to supplement the cost of your VA, how to create a list, what a good list should look like, and how to get it up for sale on Gumroad. So that's not for everybody. And the lists have to be good or you won't be able to sell them for very long. But I break that down. So if that's something you want to do, you can totally do that. And it's not, selling on Gumroad's not super hard, but if you've never done it, it'll take you a little while to get up to speed with it. So this shortens that learning curve there. You also get all of my extensions. You get my sourcing bookmarks, which is normally $19.99, and you also get my context menu search tool, which is also $19.99, and those are just free. There's no charge. There's no recurring fee or anything for that. You also get access to the private Facebook group, which will give you access to myself, and I have one assistant who's going to help me. My friend Brad Tucker is going to be working with me on that to help answer questions. He's got experience in this area too. The how many extension is not going to be discounted. We don't discount that except for one group. Yeah, I would love to do that, but then that opens up a whole can of worms, and you have to talk to Mark Crawford. See if you can get him to do it. He runs that show. But so you get all that. You get my web script to show you how the actual script I use to hire VAs on Upwork. You can use it on Upwork, or you can hire through other sites like onlinejobs.ph, or a couple other that I'll share with you. So basically, if there's information out there about VAs, I didn't want to just throw stuff that didn't matter at you. And just overwhelm you with superfluous, unnecessary information. But I wanted it to be complete, right? Because I wanted you to have it's just a couple hours and it might have some stuff that might be kind of dry, and I apologize. But I promise you, if you take the course and you actually go through it, it'll pay itself off in the time you spend on the course. And it'll save you money, and it might end up making the difference between you succeeding in outsourcing with a VA and not. And the processes that I use for outsourcing, I outsource a lot of work as far as like SEO type stuff, a lot of different product creation, software creation. So those skills are I teach the same methods I use for that type of stuff in the hiring process with the Amazon VAs. So you'll get that value as well.
So what is the average that you would expect people to pay for a VA to do this kind of work?
It depends, and I'll go through the different payment methods, right? With Upwork, the minimum is $3 an hour. And I recommend never going below that. You can go below that on other sites, but eventually it gets to the point where you get what you pay for. I also include a cost of living calculator it wasn't mine, but I include some resources showing you just kind of debunking the myths about ethics in business and outsourcing. Because a lot of people think like, oh, $3 an hour, that's criminal. And it's not. And it can be. It depends what region you go to, right? And I recommend never outsourcing to a region that's a bad wage, because if you can afford it and you can still get the good work, pay what they're worth, hire in an area in the Philippines where it actually is going to meet the standard of living, and $3 does meet the standard of living and then some in the Philippines.
So
But
I
there's
shouldn't hire any Americans for $3 or $4 an hour.
Valerie works for
Watch
$250.
it. Tread lightly.
She told me you pay her $250 an hour.
I have never paid Valerie by the hour.
She says she gets to keep the tips.
She probably just does that when she's out looking for jobs from people named Cohen.
Hey, he wasn't the
Every
only
Cohen
one.
I know offers
Yeah.
her a job, apparently.
Oh, I tried to find out how much she made so that when I can afford her, I can take her from you.
Yes,
She wouldn't tell me. That's when she told me $250.
And you
I
didn't
can't-
offer
I
$3 an
can't.
hour?
No, I said that's not worth it.
What?
I said let's be
All right, I
realistic.
retract my offer.
No, but $3 an hour is the minimum you can go on Upwork. Upwork used to let you go to 67 cents. I've got a really horrible story about that. I had a guy that pretty much, I basically paid him to make me look like the biggest jackass in the history of the internet. I thought that never hire somebody that has the word like expert for below
$1 an hour?
Don't hire anybody with the word expert on it unless you're paying like $20 an hour. If you are an expert in anything and you charge less than $20 an hour, you got to question it. But
Right.
This guy was an expert in social media, and basically what that meant was he would spam. He would take my. He had like 8 Facebook accounts, and he just started liking my pages. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's not how it worked. You said that you were like, I was expecting you to create me like some content, like some images and stuff. And he, so this is why I do all this stuff myself now, and I'm paranoid to ever outsource it as far as the content side goes. But he basically had like 8 different accounts with 8 different names, and he would post the same exact thing on every single one of my groups and all these other people's groups. He got banned from all his other groups. I look like the world's biggest idiot. Like I'm paying this guy to, doing it in my name. It was horrible. So, these are just the, and just kind of like what Valerie does for your group, Sean. She just chunks it all up.
All right, this webinar is over. I'm cutting this off.
No, but yeah, there's people, we had a big discussion about this the other day in one of the groups about hiring employees from the U.S. to source for you and paying them regular, wages. I could talk all day about my opinion on economics and the standard of living and what's fair and what's not. The way I see it is if we had to pay, somebody was saying, why don't you pay these VAs $10 an hour? Which is what you'd expect here in the United States. I said, well, I mean, okay, you can pay a VA $10 an hour. I get you could still make money. A good VA should be able to make you money at $10 an hour. I would never pay that because you can pay somebody less, give them a good standard of living, right, and profit more. I mean, that's business. If anybody's got a problem with that, I don't know, but that's business, right? But if I were to pay $10 an hour, which I'm not saying I'm absolutely opposed to that. If I had to, but I wouldn't go to the Philippines anymore. If I had to pay $10 an hour, I would hire somebody from the U.S. So in a sense, if I was going to do that, I'd be taking jobs away from them in the Philippines. And at the $3 an hour, they're actually getting it. I'm making jobs for them. I'm making jobs for people that it actually means just as much as if I was making a job for somebody here for $10 an hour. And it's also, if I had to pay $10 an hour, I either wouldn't do it or I wouldn't do it in the Philippines. So basically, there's people that do it. There's people that pay OA assistants in the U.S. $15 an hour and up to source for them.
I have people here that source for me, and a lot of them do better than the ones in the Philippines. But they don't. They don't do equally enough. They're not doubling or tripling or, whatever it is, to equal the same amount of money. But I mean, they're definitely getting more output and, they understand what I say, which there's a plus for. But I mean, we have a lot of VAs, and not just for sourcing, for Amazon. We have, people who work on our Amazon account and, you know, design websites and do research. I probably have 15 people that I have hired on Upwork right now.
Yeah.
You know, to do all kinds of stuff, but you know, definitely they're giving me more, you know, more work per dollar than, you know, the ones in America that are paid by the hour.
Well, it's a numbers game too, right? Like, one thing you get if you pay somebody in the U.S., you can, like, if you, I could hire like one of my brothers. I've got 4 brothers, right? I could hire one of them and have them do it for me. I could give them my credit card and I could trust them to make the buying decisions for me much more easily than I could giving a VA approved. I do this, and I actually explain how to do it in the course, but I don't recommend it for everybody as far as you know, doing it. We actually talk about like credit card fraud and the risks of that in the course, about giving a VA a credit card to make purchases for you at some point, which is totally a method that you don't ever have to get to. Most people don't do that. I've experimented with it, and I'm going to show you what I do. But basically my point is, in the U.S., I could do that with somebody that is local, and I could feel much more comfortable giving them my card, and then also trusting them with the buys, because they could call me on the phone. You know, we could talk about it. They could talk to me in person. When you talk over Skype or over the Upwork Messenger, there's a lot that's lost in translation, right? And in the Philippines, they speak Tagalog and English, and they speak English. Most of them speak it very well, because I believe that they speak it in high school. So you do get a better level of English speaking from the Philippines, which is another one of the great reasons to go there. But you'll still be missing some things that you would have if you had somebody here in the U.S. And that's not a knock on them. It's just the fact. I mean, if somebody from the Philippines hired me to work for them, I wouldn't be very good. I'd miss a lot. But yeah, so there's pros and cons. You know, there's different jobs that you should pay more for, absolutely, and there's some that you know it's just inefficient to pay more. But yeah, that's all covered in the course.
Tammy has a really good question about paying any taxes when you hire a VA overseas. So how does it work?
Paying tax, for me, at the end of the year, I use all of my expenses from Upwork, and I write it off as subcontractor work, and it's not anything really special like that. It's kind of more just a lump sum. I mean, I'm not a tax expert, and I don't talk about that in the book, but it's not like Upwork handles any of the fees and everything, and Upwork handles any type of tax, anything that you don't have to pay like Filipino taxes or anything, if that's what you're wondering.
Right.
As far as everything else goes, they're just treated like a subcontractor. But again, I'm not giving accounting advice, but it's not, if you're worried about it being a hassle, it's, in my experience, it has never been. What do you think, Sean? It's tax time, right?
Right. Well, I've actually asked about this issue. I've got a really good accountant. He's got a PhD in accounting, and he owns his own firm here. And the way we've done it so far in the past is he said he logs it as a service, you know, because you know, we're actually paying the money to Upwork, and they're providing the service for us. So it's not actually, you know, like a subcontractor, which would need you know, tax forms.
Yeah, we'll have to go more into that with an actual accountant. I mean, I might be able to get somebody to come on into the private Facebook group, but as far as what I've done, I mean, I'm not going to say I did it right or wrong. I haven't had problems yet, but yeah, that's not something that I talk about in the course, for sure. But I've not. Was it a headache for you, Sean?
No. You know, we just log whatever it is. You know, I print out the stuff and give it to him, and he enters the numbers for, you know, for it. I mean, it was no big deal at all. You know, I mean, everybody that has an Amazon business should have some kind of accountant to do your taxes. So, you know, if you don't know, you should be asking them, and you should have access to be able to ask them questions throughout the year. I mean, we only pay as much stuff as we do. We only still pay $175 a year to him, and I can call him anytime I want, you know, and ask questions. I mean, he does have an hourly rate, but if it's a short question, you know, he doesn't charge us. I mean, if I want to talk to him for a half hour, you know, of course he's going to bill me, but short questions via the phone or email is no problem. And that's, you know, that's what everybody should have, is somebody that, you know, is part of your team, you know, that, you know, can relate that to what you're doing. And, you know, they don't have to, you know, in our experience, have, you know, knowledge working with online businesses or, you know, especially Amazon businesses. They're, you know, it's a business question, and almost everything we do, you know, doesn't matter that we're selling on Amazon. You know, a business is a business. So, you know, sales tax is completely different, but, you know, your CPA is probably not going to be filing sales tax for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to open up another can of worms, but there's also going to be, and I would like to get off the topic of taxes, but you're also going to be foregoing some tax deductions that you might have in your state for hiring somebody in your city, in your state. But again, I got my degree in economics, but not accounting.
Right.
Any other questions? Is that Jeremy Wilson? Is that a different Jeremy?
Jimmy, it says.
Oh, Jimmy? Oh, Jeremy.
Did I ask the question? Yeah, it's Jimmy Lowe.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That was Jeremy Wilson. Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions about VAs in general, about the course, about outsourcing in general?
Sorry.
I think that was all the questions, right, Valerie? Or
Yeah. Sorry, I have like construction going on in my house, so I don't know if you guys can hear all the background noise, but that's all. I think that's all the questions that I see, and that's actually Tammy. It's Jimmy's wife, but you can call her Jimmy. I'm sure she won't mind.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. And that's why you guys hire me.
I didn't hire you.
Because I know their names.
Sean hired you, and that's because you're related.
Whatever.
Right, that's the only reason.
That's it.
She's good at making coloring books too.
Is she?
Yeah. Boom. Now what, Nate?
Now we released 2 coloring books today.
I mean, for $2.50 an hour.
Oh my God.
You get what you pay for, right?
Yep. That's it.
No, seriously.
That's why we don't all get to go to Hilton Head every week, Nate. Okay.
I was here on the show last year, so I go once a year.
In Orlando.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's another person, so that's, I think that's everything caught up.
Okay, Sean, I'll give you guys a link. I'll give you a link to the $99 beta offer. It's basically just going to be open really shortly. I want to get 25 people in who want to actually, I hope people do it for more than just a discount, that they actually help give me some serious constructive feedback on it. I know that you're still paying, so you don't really owe me that, but I really, really would appreciate that if whoever does take me up on the offer for the half off the course would give me some solid feedback. I'm not gonna like bug them about it or you know, contact them back and forth, but just, you know, it'll be cool if I can get some help with it.
Let me have
Right,
that.
definitely. And, you know, anybody who can help him out will, you know, will be helping the course for, you know, people in the future and for yourself, of course. So, yeah. So
Yeah,
you're going to share it now, or you're going to give it to me later?
I will give it to you later. I got to pull it up.
Okay, that's no problem. We can we'll send an email to everybody who showed up to the webinar. We have everybody's email addresses. So, you know, check your email if you're interested in that. We'll get something out to you guys in the next day or so. And that's about it. Next week, the next week, Valerie?
Yeah.
Next, we're going to have Jay Bain. So keep an eye out for that. It's next Wednesday.
And then I think
8 p.m.
the week after that, I believe the week after that also is Abigail.
Right. Abigail Rachel Hunt. She's going to be talking about her dollar store arbitrage book. There's a ton of people that registered for that already. So I would register because there's, a limit on how many people can get to these webinars. And that's about it. Thanks for coming, guys.
All right, thanks.